Speak English confidently. 7 proven methods. Hello and welcome to the English Audiobook Library. Today, we're tackling one of the most common challenges faced by English learners worldwide: how to speak English confidently. If you've ever felt your heart race before speaking English, if you've stayed silent in meetings because you feared making mistakes, or if you understand English perfectly but struggle to express yourself, this video is for you. The truth is, millions of people around the world can read and write English reasonably well, but when it comes to speaking, they freeze. Why? Because speaking requires something that textbooks rarely teach: confidence. Today I'm going to share 7 proven methods that will fundamentally change how you approach speaking English. These aren't just theoretical tips, these are practical strategies used by successful language learners and polyglots worldwide. So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's begin your journey to confident English speaking. Section 1. Understanding the confidence barrier. Before we dive into the methods, let's understand what's really holding you back. Most people think they lack confidence because their English isn't good enough. But here's the paradox: your English won't improve until you start speaking, and you won't start speaking until you feel confident. This creates a vicious cycle. You wait to speak until your English is perfect, but perfection never comes because you're not practicing. Let me share something that might surprise you. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We use incorrect grammar, we forget words, we stumble over sentences. Yet we keep speaking because we prioritize communication over perfection. The first mindset shift you need to make is this: speaking English confidently isn't about speaking perfectly. It's about communicating effectively, even with mistakes. Research in language acquisition shows that learners who speak more despite making errors progress faster than those who remain silent until they're ready. The students who raise their hands, who attempt conversations, who dare to make mistakes, these are the ones who achieve fluency. So the first step toward confidence isn't improving your grammar or expanding your vocabulary. It's changing your relationship with mistakes. Mistakes aren't failures. They're proof that you're learning. Section 2, Method 1, the shadowing technique. Now let's get into our first practical method: shadowing. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to English audio and repeat it simultaneously like an echo. You're essentially becoming someone's shadow, copying their words, rhythm, intonation, and even their emotional tone. Here's how to do it effectively. First, choose audio content slightly above your current level. This could be a podcast, an audiobook, a TED Talk, or even movie dialogues. The key is that you should understand about 70 to 80% of it. Start by listening to a short segment, 30 seconds to 1 minute, without repeating. Just focus on understanding the meaning and noticing the speaker's rhythm and intonation. Then, play it again and speak along simultaneously. Don't worry about perfect pronunciation initially. Focus on matching the speaker's pace and melody. English is a stress-timed language, meaning the rhythm matters as much as the individual sounds. As you practice, you'll notice something remarkable. You start internalizing not just words, but natural speech patterns. You learn how native speakers link words together, where they pause for breath, and how they use intonation to convey meaning. Practice shadowing for 15 to 20 minutes daily. Within a few weeks, you'll notice your spoken English sounds more natural. And more importantly, you'll feel more confident because you're training your mouth muscles to produce English sounds automatically. The beauty of shadowing is that it's a private practice. There's no pressure, no judgment, no fear of embarrassment. It's just you and the audio, building your confidence one sentence at a time. Section 3. Method 2. Think in English. The second method is perhaps the most transformative. Learn to think in English. Most learners follow this exhausting process. Think in their native language. Translate to English. Check the grammar and then speak. By the time they finish this mental gymnastics, the conversation has moved on. Confident speakers don't translate. They think directly in English. But how do you start thinking in a language that's not native to you? The answer is gradually and consistently. Start with simple narration. As you go about your day, describe your actions in English silently. I'm making coffee. I'm opening the cupboard. I need to buy more sugar. This might feel awkward at first. You'll stumble. You'll forget words. You'll find yourself reaching for translations. That's perfectly normal. When you can't find a word, don't stop. Use simple words to describe it. Can't remember refrigerator? Say the cold box where I keep food. This isn't just practice, it's exactly what you'll need to do in real conversations when you forget a word. Next, upgrade to internal dialogue. Have conversations with yourself in English. Imagine scenarios. What would you say if you were ordering food? How would you explain your job to someone? What would you say in a job interview? This mental rehearsal is incredibly powerful. Athletes visualize their performance before competing. Musicians mentally practice their pieces. You can do the same with English. As you develop this habit, your brain starts building direct pathways between thoughts and English words, bypassing translation entirely. This is when speaking becomes effortless, because you're no longer converting. You're simply expressing. Section 4. Method 3. The vocabulary context method. Let's talk about vocabulary, but not the way you've been taught. Many learners try to build confidence by memorizing word lists, using flashcards, or studying vocabulary books. While these methods expand your knowledge, they don't necessarily improve your speaking confidence. Why? Because knowing a word in isolation is very different from using it in conversation. The context method is different. Instead of memorizing individual words, you learn vocabulary in complete phrases and sentences, the way you'll actually use them. For example, don't just memorize convenient. Learn the phrase, is this time convenient for you? Or the hotel is conveniently located near the airport. Don't just learn impressive. Capture it in context. Your presentation was really impressive. Or she has an impressive background in marketing. This approach serves multiple purposes. First, you learn grammar, naturally because you're absorbing correct sentence structures. Second, you learn collocations, words that naturally go together in English. Third, you have ready-to-use phrases that boost confidence because, they're correct. Here's a practical exercise. Keep a phrase journal. Whenever you encounter a new word, don't write the word alone. Write the entire sentence where you found it. Then create 2 or 3 more sentences using that word. This takes more time than simple flashcards, but the payoff is enormous. When you speak, these phrases flow naturally because you've stored them as complete units, not isolated pieces waiting to be assembled. Native speakers don't construct every sentence from scratch. They rely on thousands of memorized chunks and phrases. By learning vocabulary and context, you're doing exactly what native speakers do. Section 5, Method 4, the 80-20 Principle for English. The 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto principle, states that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. Applied to English, this means that a relatively small amount of vocabulary and grammar covers most daily conversations. Research shows that the 1,000 most common English words make up about 75% of all spoken English. The top 3,000 words cover about 95% of everyday conversation. This is incredibly encouraging. You don't need to know 20,000 words to speak confidently. You need to master the most common, 2,000 to 3,000 words, and use them fluently. Similarly, you don't need to master every grammar structure. Focus on the fundamentals: present, past, and future tenses, basic question forms, common modal verbs, and essential connectors. Here's how to apply the 80-20 principle practically. First, identify high-frequency vocabulary for your specific needs. If you're a business professional, learn the 500 most common business English phrases. If you're a student, focus on academic vocabulary. If you're traveling, prioritize travel-related expressions. Second, practice these high-value words and phrases until they become automatic. It's better to use 500 words with complete confidence than to know 5,000 words but hesitate every time you speak. Third, focus on communication over complexity. Native speakers appreciate clarity far more than fancy vocabulary. A simple, well-delivered sentence beats a complex, stumbling one every time. The confidence breakthrough happens when you realize you can express almost anything with the vocabulary you already have. You don't need more words. You need to use the words you know more confidently and creatively. Section 6, Method 5, Embrace mistakes as learning tools. Let's address the elephant in the room, the fear of making mistakes. This fear is the #1 confidence killer for English learners. It keeps people silent in classrooms, prevents them from participating in meetings, and stops them from making friends with native speakers. But here's a perspective shift that changed everything for countless successful learners. Mistakes aren't the opposite of success. They're the pathway to success. Think about how children learn their native language. They make countless mistakes, yet no one criticizes them. They say, "I go to the park," instead of "I went," and adults simply model the correct form. The child keeps speaking, keeps trying, and eventually gets it right. As adults, we've somehow decided that mistakes are embarrassing. But in reality, mistakes are data. Every mistake tells you something you didn't know and gives you an opportunity to improve. Here's how to embrace mistakes productively. First, reframe mistakes as experiments. When you try a new phrase or structure, you're not risking failure. You're conducting a language experiment. Did it work? Great, use it again. Did it fail? Great. Now you know what doesn't work. Second, focus on communication success, not grammatical perfection. If the other person understood you, the communication was successful, even if you made errors. That's a win. Third, actively seek feedback. Instead of hoping no one notices your mistakes, ask people to correct you. Say, "I'm working on my English. Please let me know if I make mistakes." This removes the fear and turns mistakes into valuable learning opportunities. Fourth, keep a mistake journal. When you make an error and learn the correction, write it down. Review this journal regularly. You'll be amazed at how quickly you eliminate recurring mistakes. The most successful language learners are not the ones who make the fewest mistakes. They're the ones who make the most mistakes and learn from them. They speak, they fail, they adjust, and they improve. Section 7. Method 6. Create an English environment. Confidence comes from familiarity, and familiarity comes from exposure. If English feels foreign and uncomfortable, it's because you're not surrounded by it enough. The solution? Create an artificial English-speaking environment, even if you're not in an English-speaking country. Here's how to immerse yourself in English without leaving home. First, change your device settings to English. Your phone, computer, social media apps, switch them all to English. This forces you to interact with English dozens of times daily in a practical, functional context. Second, consume English media exclusively for at least 1 hour daily. Watch English YouTube videos. Listen to English podcasts during your commute. Watch Netflix series with English subtitles. Read English news websites. The goal is constant exposure. Third, join English-speaking communities online. There are countless forums, Discord servers, language exchange apps, and social media groups where English learners and native speakers interact. Participate actively. Comment, ask questions, share thoughts. Fourth, practice self-talk in English. Talk to yourself while cooking, driving, or showering. Describe what you're doing, plan your day, or rehearse upcoming conversations. This private practice builds the neural pathways for spontaneous speaking. Fifth, if possible, find a language partner or tutor. Regular conversation. Practice with a supportive person. Accelerates confidence more than any solitary study method. The key principle here is regularity over intensity. 30 minutes of English daily is far more effective than 3 hours once a week. Language learning thrives on consistent exposure and practice. When English becomes part of your daily environment rather than something you study occasionally, your comfort level skyrockets. It stops feeling like a subject you're learning and starts feeling like a tool you're using. Section 8, Method 7, the Progressive Challenge Method. The final method is about strategic confidence building through progressive challenges. Confidence isn't built overnight. It's built through accumulated small wins. Each successful English interaction, no matter how minor, adds to your confidence bank. The progressive challenge method involves deliberately creating speaking situations that gradually increase in difficulty, ensuring you're constantly challenged but never overwhelmed. Here's how to implement it. Level 1. Record yourself speaking English. Start by recording yourself reading a paragraph from a book or article. Then progress to recording yourself speaking spontaneously about a familiar topic for 2 minutes. Listen to these recordings. This feels awkward initially, but it's incredibly valuable for identifying areas to improve. Level 2. Practice with patient partners. Find understanding friends, family members, or language exchange partners who know you're practicing. These low-stakes conversations build foundational confidence. Level 3. Participate in structured online discussions. Join webinars where you can ask questions in the chat or voice, attend online English clubs, or participate in language learning meetups. The structure provides security while giving you real speaking practice. Level 4. Engage in spontaneous conversations. Ask for directions in English. make small talk with a barista, call customer service in English, or comment on someone's post in English online. These brief real-world interactions are confidence gold. Level 5. Present or speak publicly in English. Give a presentation at work. Create a YouTube video, host a webinar, or teach something you know in English. Public speaking is the ultimate confidence builder because once you can speak English in front of multiple people, one-on-one conversations feel easy. The critical rule: don't skip levels. If you try to give a presentation before you're comfortable recording yourself privately, you'll likely have a negative experience that damages rather than builds confidence. Celebrate each level's completion. Acknowledge your progress. The journey from "I'm afraid to speak" to "I can present in English" is significant and deserves recognition. Let's recap the 7 methods that will transform your English speaking confidence. 1. Use the shadowing technique to internalize natural speech patterns and pronunciation. 2. Think directly in English to eliminate translation, delays, and speak more spontaneously. 3. Learn vocabulary in context through complete phrases rather than isolated words. 4. Apply the 80-20 principle by mastering high-frequency vocabulary and essential grammar. 5. Embrace mistakes as learning tools rather than failures to fear. 6. Create an English-speaking environment to build familiarity and comfort. 7. Use progressive challenges to build confidence through accumulated small wins. Remember, confident English speaking isn't about perfection. It's about communication. It's about being comfortable expressing yourself, even imperfectly. It's about prioritizing the message over the medium. Every confident English speaker you admire went through the same struggles you're facing now. They felt nervous, made embarrassing mistakes, and doubted their abilities. The only difference between them and someone still struggling is that they kept speaking despite the fear. Your English doesn't need to be perfect to be valuable. It needs to be functional, and function comes from practice. Start today. Use one of these methods immediately. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes about your day. Shadow a 1-minute podcast segment. Think through your dinner preparation in English. Small actions, repeated consistently, create remarkable transformations. Thank you for watching the English Audiobook Library. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more English learning content. Leave a comment telling me which method you'll try first. I read and respond to every comment. Remember, you don't need perfect English. You need confident English. And confident English starts with the decision to speak, mistakes and all. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep speaking. See you in the next video.